You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Tony and Grammy Award winner Leslie Odom Jr. is back on Broadway in Pearly Victorious, a non-Confederate romp through the cotton patch. This New York Times critic's pick is blazing and hilarious. Leslie is magnificent, raves Deadline. The funniest show on Broadway, declares the Wrap. Don't miss Leslie Odom Jr. in the knockout, laughter-filled Pearly Victorious. Now extended through February 4th. Get your tickets today.
Feel the whoa with Listerine at BJ's. You can save $2.50 now on Listerine products like Total Care Anti-Cavity Fluoride Fresh Mint Mouthwash or Cool Mint Pocket Packs Fresh Breath Strips at your nearest BJ's location. Experience the feeling of a million germs zapped in seconds with Listerine. Discount available through December 24th. Save now, only at BJ's.
In the spirit of reconciliation, the Theatre Thoughts podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all traditional custodians of the land on which our episodes are recorded. You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts Podcast, your backstage pass to the world of theatre in Australia and beyond. I'm Justin, your guide through the drama, comedy and pure magic of the stage from the heart of Australia to the grandest stages worldwide. Join us here for enlightening conversations, reviews and behind-the-scenes stories from the artists themselves. Subscribe for your regular dose of theatre inspiration and consider supporting us on Patreon for exclusive content. Follow us on Instagram at TheatreThoughtsAUS and TTPod_official and discover even more over on our TikTok, Theatre Thoughts Australia. So join us as we rise the curtain on a brand new episode of the Theatre Thoughts Podcast.
I'll be right back and then you can open the presents. Okay. Yeah. Alright, let's get this sorted. There. Alright.
Welcome everyone to a very special bonus episode of the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. I'm sitting in front of a cozy fire in your imagination currently. I have a glass of wine or a sherry or an eggnog, whatever you think I should be having in my hand right now. I am bringing you the very special wrap-up episode of the Theatre Thoughts Podcast for 2023. It's been a massive year here at the podcast. We've had amazing guests from all over the arts sector, some being from the musical theatre industry, some producing plays, some being playwrights, some being actors, some being producers and directors. So we've had a broad range of guests from international as well as national right here in Australia. Throughout this bonus episode, I'm going to take us back on some of my favourite moments from throughout the latest season as well as Season 2 of the podcast. You'll hear back from some of our highlights from Season 2 and Season 3 of the podcast throughout 2023, as well as some of my personal favourite guests that I loved having on the podcast this year. So first up, we're going to jump back into a recent episode featuring Sheridan Adams and Courtney Monsma from Australia's production of Wicked, as well as probably our biggest guest on the podcast so far, Stephen Schwartz, as we talked about The Prince of Egypt, the musical. Well, speaking of trying to get each other to laugh, I'd love to play my little game I've set up for you.
Yes.
So we'll see if we can try to get each other to laugh in these awfully bad Wizard of Oz Wicked jokes that I've made. Okay, so take a second to whatever you need, and then whoever would like to start, go ahead. Oh no!
Okay. Well, this one's on the nose in my opinion. But why is Wicked a must-see show? Because it's one of the most popular shows there is.
Now,
You know who wrote that one? Liam Head.
Liam, no wonder
Liam
we
wrote
didn't
that one.
laugh. No, I'm kidding.
Liam, I worry about you. I really do. Singing in the shower is fun until you get soap in your mouth. Then it's a soap opera. Did Liam write that one?
No.
Okay.
How do we know Madame Morrible was a good witch? Because she brought the house down.
No, that one's brilliant.
I'm just imagining Robin like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Only an American could have written The Wizard of Oz. Anywhere else, he'd be the Wizard of 28G.
Now, I find that very funny because Oz is in like the weight system, America versus
Ounces.
ounces.
Oh, I
yeah.
don't think I'm clever enough.
28 grams. Right.
But that's funny if I was
I thought it
clever.
was maybe it's
went-
when you need to see, like to look at.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
But even then I was
like
like-
pounds and
Yeah.
That's
God.
funny. That's funny. I've been trying to understand why my candle has such bad insomnia. Guess there's no rest for the wicked.
That's a red one too. These are my kind of humour because they're silly.
Because they're silly.
Best. Okay.
Not doing well.
Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz is by far the greatest character of all time. No one could hold a candle to him.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
They're good.
That's actually funny. I love that. I love that. This one's funny. I shouldn't say that because it's ruined it. How many actors does it take to change a light bulb? Only one. The rest stand around saying, it should be me up there. That's funny.
It's funny.
I'm like, yeah, I get it.
But,
Especially when the bubble.
Yeah, that'd be me up there.
Okay, this one's a long one. The Wizard of Oz takes on a whole new plot when you look at it from Toto's perspective. As much as, you like that already? As much as Dorothy misses Kansas, Toto misses the rains down in Africa. That is funny.
This is a good one.
That is brilliant. And I didn't even read it fully, so it really hit me as I was reading it too.
oh,
Does it just
'cause
hit you?
Just wrote this. I was like, why? He's from Kansas.
Kansas as well.
Silly.
Excellent.
A classically trained performer just became a spy. I guess you could say they perform thespionage.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
It's like thespionage. I don't know.
Yeah.
This one's my favourite.
Okay.
Now, it could be the worst one, but it's for me, it's brilliant. Why did the Scarecrow get an award?
Why?
He was outstanding in his field. See?
That's
Brilliant. And I just picture Liam
it's
getting
the scarecrow-based
taken away.
jokes.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yes,
so
yes.
there's a moment in the show where Liam and I will say a bad joke to each other. And for opening, he got me like a dad jokes book and we
Oh,
say
nice.
jokes. So I'm actually going to say these to him
Excellent.
in the show.
You
So-
feel free to take
Yes.
them. That'd be great.
Well, actually, that's a great segue because I was going to actually talk about the music now for Prince of Egypt. Well, thank you, first of all, for doing our Theatre Thoughts questions. I love that so much. But what you just said about replicating and kind of being inspired by that music, 'cause when I was listening to Prince of Egypt in terms of the big musical version, I was listening to it, and what you said about capturing Egypt and the vastness of it, it was reminiscent to me of some of the music that was in Miss Saigon in terms of the vastness of the situation that the characters found themselves in, especially with Deliver Us as this big, powerful opening number. And I was just like, it's like, I just had flashes of Miss Saigon because I was like, big, beautiful, punchy vastness of the entire space. And I'd love to know, like, when you were working on this music, what was the influences for you to get all these other songs? Because obviously you worked on it way back in 1998, 1999, but adapting it to the stage would have been a very different task altogether.
It was, but I returned to the same sources that I used to, obviously my research from when I was doing the film, I didn't throw it away. So I still had it. And, I had recordings of ancient Egyptian court music. How anyone knows what it was, I don't know. Yeah, right. But apparently someone did some research and recorded what they could find. I had recordings of Hebrew lullabies and music from that period. I mean that part of the world, and also, frankly, sort of pop. Some sort of pop records that I got when I was on my trip to Egypt and kind of bought on the streets of Cairo. Oh, wow. Just to try and get that flavor. Yeah. And obviously with a movie, you can have a 90-piece orchestra. So you're not able to do that in a show, but we wanted to get the epic quality that the score for the movie had, Justin, that you were just talking about. And the orchestrator, August Eriksmoen, is a guy who's extremely good with bringing authentic kind of ethnic instruments in. He did the orchestrations, for instance, for Come From Away, where he got northern Canadian side. He's very good at interpolating authentic instrumentation into his score. And so he did that as well with the orchestrations for Prince of Egypt. So there are a lot of authentic Middle Eastern instruments, particularly percussion instruments, but some wind instruments as well that are used as part of the orchestra.
Wow, wow, wow. Even in listening to that back, I still pinch myself in knowing that I got to have Stephen Schwartz here on the Theatre Thoughts podcast. So that was very special. Next up, we're going to have a look back on our live episodes, which we started in 2023. We were very lucky to be welcomed into Meraki Arts Bar before it sadly shut its doors to do some live recorded episodes in front of an audience post-shows for a couple of different amazing productions. So you're going to hear from our live recordings from Expiration Date, Short Blanket, and the Tough Titties Q&A.
And speaking of, and YouTube, Purple Tape Productions... So it's just, am I correct? It is just you two who are the...
It's just us. We do everything. Oops. So, for example, in this show, we did the set, the lights. I directed it. Tyler production managed it. We produced it. And it came through our pipeline. So we all went to uni together. We all went to UAW. Woo! And even Justin.
I did on Saturday.
So UAW represent. But yeah, we kind of realised that we can do all of it ourselves, and it's way better. Even though it does stress us out sometimes, I think we actually work really well that way because we just get each other. So it just makes it nice and easy.
Well, before I steal everyone's questions, I want to open up to room. If anyone has a question they want to ask before I keep chatting away, if anyone's got a question, feel free to... We'll do it like school. Pop your hand up and I'll come over to you. Oh, excellent. I'm coming over with the mic.
Bless you, Tom Cruddy.
You don't have to say your name if you don't want to. You can just ask a question.
Hi, my name's Tom. I'm from Darlinghurst.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
I just had a quick question for Lily Hayman.
Oh, God.
Okay, sure. I've never held one of these before. Congratulations on the show. It was great.
Cheers, thank you so much.
Thank you.
When I first saw that there was a show set in an elevator, I got a bit claustrophobic because as an audience member, I go, how does that work? How do I I was interested in how I was going to be engaged in a show that's just set in this 4x4 place. I was. Thank you. Thank you. It was great. But my question is, for actually anybody can answer this, but as a director, Lily, I was wondering, how did you meet that challenge, and what was that like in the rehearsal room, being like, cool, we've got this one space, we can't leave it, that's the premise of the show. How do we keep this engaging?
Yes. I actually have to credit these two a lot because I actually came on quite late in the show. So they already had kind of the bare bones of what you saw tonight ready to go when they asked me to direct it. So as we said, we did a kind of a development showing in May of last year, which is when Roe v. Wade was overturned. And I was just the producer that provided the space for the development to happen, and kind of came in at the end and got to see it. And Lana kind of asked me at the end of that if I would like to direct it moving forward, and I said yes. And they'd done a lot of that energetic work themselves, and I think that's because this play comes from them, so a lot of the energy of the work is theirs. So I didn't have to do heaps of work about like getting that right. But then when I came in, I think it was just about being that person outside of the elevator who could help make the picture work. So it could be like, okay, like, yeah, it's great that you're talking to each other in this bit, but this is really important and you're facing the back. So
which happened so much.
So like
nice wall. I was like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I was like, yep, open your eyes, please. Like,
literally.
Like these were some of the really early directions that I took with it. But then I really want to say that after Adelaide, actually, I think we learnt a lot from Adelaide because we had no set, we had no lights. It was a piece of tape on the ground and these two acting. And there was a few people who saw it in Adelaide who've seen it up here, and like definitely I think it's come into its own here with all those things and a bit of new writing. But I think we learnt a lot from that we could hold the energy of that work when these two were on and when they were with each other. You could just hold the energy, and so that was great for me as a director, because my usual style is to duck in and out of moments and like have all this movement, and like most of my shows have puppets in them and like la 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 la. I'm a big theatrical kind of director, so coming down to doing this was big. Was really exciting because I was like, I can do that. I can do this too. It was really nice. So I'm really glad I got to have that challenge and play with it with two people that I'm very good friends with as well. I think that helped.
Week ago. I really didn't. It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize. I like read the script and I read the Fleabag scene and I thought our characters were dating and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then you and Tiffany said, oh, we're not going to make them date anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. And then that scene was still in there and I was like, oh, why are they still dating?
Actually, they did used to date in one of the earlier drafts.
Interesting. Okay.
Plot twist. Joey ends up with Gloria.
Yeah. That is canon.
No, I remember reading the audition scenes and being quite confused because there were straight scenes that were just me and Dom, and then there were scenes that were from the play in a play. And I remember being like, what the fuck is this shit writing? Sorry.
Joseph! Language!
But then it dawning and be like, oh, this is actually great writing. Redemption, man.
Redemption.
Oh, God.
The tenty seal of
Well, how did you feel, I guess, with your character? Because it is, like, some of the scenes in there are quite confronting.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the questions I could ask is, how did you approach that as an actor?
Yeah, so there's some really straight scenes that are just Joey being an actor and talking, and then there's play in the play scenes that are this version of the play that could exist or is being presented or pitched that present these really intense situations all around race and power, like Matt was talking about, dominance. I think that stuff is it can be tricky because it's very real and it's all inspired by real shit that happens in the real world and that people have to put up with every day. So for me, as tricky as it is 100% worth doing it because I don't want to water it down. That is the experience that a lot of people have, and it's an experience that should be shown and so that people can feel heard and feel seen and feel validated. So yeah, it can be tricky, but I was only ever like happy to do it if everyone else in the room was happy for it to be there. And if it didn't make sense in the storytelling, it wouldn't be there. But I think all of those moments, especially like that last scene, which is the moment that inspires Lainey to write the play, her being racially abused on a train, which the character I'm playing is the perpetrator of, like it is the payoff of the play. And if it didn't make sense, if it didn't work, if it wasn't worth it, I would hate that it was there. But there is the two-sided nature of it that it's awful. It's definitely not my favorite thing to do. But it's important that it's there and necessary that it's there so that we see how far we've gone from it. We go back to the Fleabag scene and it's like that started from that that's all these money people come out of the walls whenever there's the potential for something to make a bit of cash, and they taint it and they ruin it. So yeah, for me, as long as it's connected to the integral part of a story and an arc and a character, and then in the room itself that everyone's feeling safe, and I'm not going to do it until we're doing it.
Oh, Rachel, we got another one. Oh my goodness, hang on.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
Hi, Renee and Christelle. Congratulations. Amazing performance.
Oh, thank you.
All the cast as well. That was so good. So just wanted to, like you said, this was done 4 times. So how, like with the process, you've kind of explained it, but does it like, do you go after each run like and see what you want to cull before the next one, or like keep and what you like the most, or do you just bring it to the cast and see what kind of suits the casting that you've done? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Also, thank you for your kind words and supporting us. That means a lot. Love heart. What was the question? Sorry, I just got like distracted complimenting you.
Yeah, Renee hears a compliment. She's like, "Oh my god, stop it, keep going." No, was talking about like kind of
the fourth and how we colour it. Yeah. I think there's definitely a few sketches that are like our, not to be biased, but like our faves or like our like the ones that we do bring back. But if we are bringing them back, we are very conscious of not doing them exactly the same. We're bringing in, you know, whether it's rewriting it or redirecting it. We've got a new cast, so we want to play with it like it is new for the very first time, and see what sort of other outlooks we can bring. So I think there's like 3 or so sketches that are like staples, and sometimes we intertwine with them. So we might go, okay, we'll bring, you know, the She Let Razor one in, you know, for say like the second time, but then we didn't bring it in the third time or something like that. And then we brought it back again. So it's just alternating and also trying to curate something that works for the show as a whole, and not just like, oh, this is like so funny, ha 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 ha. Like, you know, it's what's the best as a whole and the messages that we're trying to portray.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I feel like it does also change with the cast as well that we have, because you know that we may be like, oh, there was this sketch idea that I had, but it, you know, it didn't really work the last time, and then they might be like, let's improv it, and then you bring it out and you're like, oh my god, that's the best thing ever. Write that down right now. So it definitely does depend on all of that, but. I think that's also the fun part, is that we get to have different groups of creators every single time and bring so many different sketches to life. And even an old sketch that we bring back, it's completely changed. Like Gillette, for example, initially was a 50s kind of commercial, and then it just came to like more modern day, because we're like, that actually happens in modern day. Well, you know, it can be related to then. So yeah, it definitely depends on the cast, and yeah, it's very much like a moment to moment.
And you also have obviously like the featured guests as well.
Yes.
So where did they come into the whole rehearsal process of choosing what works within the entire flow of things?
We're very lucky to have the most amazing featured guests ever.
Amazing.
Firstly. And it was really great because so many of them, like when it comes to the casting process, we kind of, with our featured artists, were kind of asking them to bring forth something that they might want to do or something that they have workshopped already. And so with all of the pieces that they had brought to us, we were basically like, oh, that's amazing. Like, we were like, how are you this good? Like, it's all of their ideas are so amazing, and they really brought their pieces to life. Like, you know, they would ask us for like, oh, can I have a rehearsal here? But they were very much their own performance and their own piece. Right. And it just, the way that it integrated, I guess, was because we very much chose people that we thought it just worked with the whole style of Tough Titties. And we're very lucky that so many different things can work with Tough Titties. So, yeah, I guess it was, they kind of brought their own thing, which was really amazing.
Yeah. And I think also like it's for featured artists, we want them to have as much creative control as possible. Like, this is their piece, and so they can decide how much rehearsal time that they would want, and, you know, direction as well that they may need. So it's completely up to them. If they're like, hey, I need 3 times a week, a check-in, it's like, yep, cool, we'll arrange that. If they're like, no, I'm just going to wing it. It's like, all right,
you do you.
We're like, hang on a minute.
But yeah, it's completely up to them, and we try to make sure that they have as much creative freedom as possible.
Love that.
Yeah.
Creative freedom. All for it.
Feel the whoa with Listerine at BJ's. You can save $2.50 now on Listerine products like Total Care Anti-Cavity Fluoride Fresh Mint Mouthwash or Cool Mint Pocket Packs Fresh Breath Strips at your nearest BJ's location. Experience the feeling of 1,000,000 germs zapped in seconds with Listerine. Discount available through December 24th. Save now, only at BJ's. Feel the whoa with Listerine at BJ's. You can save $2.50 now on Listerine products like Total Care Anti-Cavity Fluoride Fresh Mint Mouthwash or Cool Mint Pocket Packs Fresh Breath Strips at your nearest BJ's location. Experience the feeling of 1,000,000 germs zapped in seconds with Listerine. Discount available through December 24th. Save now, only at BJ's.
So a massive thank you yet again to the team at Meraki Arts Bar for letting us host those Q&A sessions there this year. Okay, so next up we have a couple of favourite clips of mine from throughout 2023 that I'd just like to reflect on and share with you. So these are some interviews that have stuck with me because of the guests I had on, because of the stories that they shared, and just because of the pure love and energy they brought to the podcast. You'll first hear from the hilarious duo Mel and Sam, followed by Vidya Macon, as well as Michelle Brazier, and lastly, Sharon Millerchip.
Mel O'Brien and Samantha Andrew.
Let's go now. I want that as my alarm to wake up every morning because I'm pretty G'd up in this studio right now.
We will be employing you for the website creation. That was very good.
That was a slay introduction.
I will just take that and send it straight to you.
Hello.
I
Hi.
loved it. And my partner, Samantha
Yeah, you're the
Andrew, I'm
partner.
like, so true though.
Yeah.
The amount of people we had. Remember that person who was like, we made this TikTok about when the Fitzroy Garage Party. Were you across this?
No.
Fitzroy Garage Party was like this big TikTok trend of these like inner North boys who like did this party. Long story short, we like were just like fucking around at home and like did this improv like song about it.
Yeah.
And the caption of the TikTok was like when you're like pissing around and then you're like your wife is just on the same level, and then the comments were like, that is so beautiful. When did you
love
get
that you're married.
I love that you girls are actually in a relationship. Like I thought you were just best friends, but and we're like, let's go with this.
Yeah, just roll
We
with
have
it.
not corrected it at all.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, sex sells.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was chaotic. Thank you very much for having us.
No,
Why
the
not?
Kentucky one's so like poignant to me because I used to tour for Top Deck over
Really?
in Europe. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so whenever I say like Kentucky tour, I just automatically know the
Do you know?
person.
So that song was kind of written about this couple who. I went on a Kentucky tour to Morocco, and this song is set in Morocco with my mate from school. Was like, we're in our 20s. It wasn't a Kentucky tour. It was an Intrepid, but same diff,
same thing.
We're traveling.
Yeah.
And there was this couple who had just met on Tinder, and they were like in their 60s.
Yeah.
And they were on this tour, and it was really funny because there was one time where I was knocking on their door because we were really close with them.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, do you want to come and, see the marketplace with us? And you heard this like running behind the doors, and then the door opened and she's in a towel and he's like in the bathroom, and I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Bye. It was so beautiful. Like,
That's so good.
This teenage kind of romance and
Yeah.
passion and love, and so it's partly based on them, but also
Wow.
partly based on imagination.
Yeah, of course. Reform is a show based on the true story, and it's it's sort of verbatim theatre. So a lot of the dialogue between me and the other person, who is Tim, is really what we said and based on messages and things. I got scammed by a man during the lockdown. I tried to buy a Pilates reformer online, and he scammed me. And instead of going to the police, I became his friend and his his confidant and his emergency contact. And and it's just, I guess it's a lesson in like radical empathy and curiosity, making you a happier person than vengeful things. I don't know. I guess it's definitely a cautionary tale, but I wouldn't say it's a cautionary tale that you'd expect if you hear it's a cautionary tale of a scammer. It's kind of like, go out there, go be scammed. It might be good for you.
Like, you might make a friend. And then just like how involved I think you two became was fascinating. Because like you said, like you were his like kind of online therapist for a little while, just like trying to talk him through breakups and all this other stuff. It
was quite a madness.
I was 17. I'd moved to Melbourne. I'd never even lived out of home. So I was, bang in a new city, living on my own, doing a job. I was a swing. So, which it's kind of like an understudy, but you cover multiple roles.
Yeah.
And so I'd never had any I didn't know what that entailed. I didn't really know how to do that. I didn't have any sort of technique to learning the roles or how to sort of organise myself. So it was a big learning curve sort of on the job. Yeah, it was. I learned a lot in that first couple of years.
That's incredible.
Amazing. And then that was in the original Melbourne company.
Right.
So and then we did the first Australian tour, and I played Demeter in that role.
Yeah. And swings, all hail swings.
Swings. Honestly,
Incredible people.
swings work so hard. Swings are super talented, and they're the glue that holds the show together. And now that I've worked sort of on the other side, sort of in a creative positions off stage, I truly, more than ever, understand the value of
Yeah.
swings, and
well, I
they
mean,
really are
working with Six, the queens over there, like
amazing.
insane.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The swings, they're super swings.
They are.
They cover
entirely
all
are.
the roles, and they go on for all of them.
Yeah, we had Kiara on last year
Right.
because I realised that we went to the same high school, and I was like, it was so good to see like where she's gone.
Oh, she's so great.
Oh, she's so talented.
Yeah,
I
so
remember
talented.
watching her and her brother Daniel
Yep.
at school, and they were always up at like the theatre nights and the show nights, and they were doing their pair dancing.
It was so cute. We were in Melbourne. We were on one side of the street in Six. She was starring in Six, and he was on the other side of the of the road doing Hamilton.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like these two little,
That's so cute.
they were like, kids. They was like,
Yeah.
my gosh, our wildest dreams have actually come true.
It's insane, isn't
Yeah.
it? I love it. It's very wholesome.
It's so wholesome. They are so wholesome. I'm so proud of them. I'm like their mother.
Each one of those women, as well as all of the guests we've had on the podcast throughout Season 2 and Season 3 this year, have honestly been an absolute delight. I'd like to take this time to thank every single one of our listeners who have listened to all the episodes for Season 2 and currently running Season 3. Even if you've listened to just one episode, thank you so much. A massive thank you to Marty at Echidna Audio for allowing us to use the equipment and use the space to record our episodes and for producing the podcast. To say thank you to all of our listeners, I have a few snippets of what to expect from the rest of Season 3 heading into 2024. You're going to hear some quick clips from 3 episodes that I have coming up, the first featuring Laura Murphy as she discusses her next musical production, Zombie the Musical, as well as the team behind Belvoir Street's Never Closer, and the return of my favourite duo, the Tragic Thespians. Thank you once again to all of our listeners, and I'll see you in 2024. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holidays, and I wish you all a very happy new year.
Yeah, you will hear about it for sure. And the dismissal is getting rave reviews as well. You got people likening it to Australia's version of Hamilton. You got people. I saw one quote that was like, "This is the best show of the last 10 years," and I'm like, that is massive. Like, how do you feel when you hear people say things like that?
Well, it's very kind, extremely generous, because I am like really hard on myself, or not hard on myself, but like I have really high expectations for the things that I'm a part of. And so when I hear like a part of me, when I hear lovely things, I'm like, yeah, but no, because what we should have done, and I'm just like, it's never good enough. It is never good enough to me. And so I hear, there's been the response to the dismissal has been gorgeous. And I've had to learn to, like, it was the same with the lovers. I've had to learn to not be like, yeah, but do you think that, I just they enjoyed it. They had an experience. That's great. And, I'm learning as well, for me, if the production is fine, great. Like I'm learning to be like, that's all. You just need it to be open and it to be fine. And that'll help, that I can sleep at night with that. I don't kind of stress myself out about being the Australia's answer to Hamilton. If I aimed for something like that, I would just never sleep at night.
Yeah.
And I would never finish it, because I would just feel like it's never done and it's never perfect. And so try to keep stakes low for myself.
Yeah,
but I hear things like Australia's answer to Hamilton, and then I'm like, the stakes are so high.
Oh my God, Hamilton.
I know,
That's cool. That's why you're the director. And Emma, so obviously, now you played Deirdre in the show. So what was it like approaching her as a character?
It's probably the most difficult role that I've ever undertaken. She's how do I describe her? Wow. She's someone that has stayed in kind of one place physically her whole life. She's been in one town, and kind of has this deep pride and respect for the place that she lives in, that she's become quite protective of it and of the people that have stayed there. So she has this kind of resentment towards people that have left and gone on to do other things that have not worked on what she really cares about, which is the place. So she's really complicated because she yearns for these other things and other connections that she limits herself from because she believes so much in this place that she's like trying to work on. So yeah, she goes on a huge journey throughout this single evening to kind of confront all of those emotions.
Yeah, that's great.
All the missed opportunities,
Yeah.
missed
So
communications, and she's held on to them. For the best part about the play is that there are two scenes that are 10 years later, right at the start of the play, and so you get the effect of just seeing all of those missed opportunities accumulate on someone like instantly, and then all come to a head in one evening.
It's beautiful.
So it's pretty intense for Emma.
It would be.
It's a big one. She has, like we say, this kind of youthful, just leaving school approach. Like everything is possible to her, and then we jump 10 years, and the weight of the world has really sat on her for that whole 10 years.
Yeah, right.
So.
And you do a very good job of
depicting
that.
Great chat. Well done. Well, I'd love to go into our theatre thoughts questions.
Yes,
if that's
yes.
okay. I've decided to do them at the beginning of the episode now instead of the end.
Okay.
So let's see.
Really shaking it up.
I know. Season 3.
Oh my God, season
Let's go.
3. Wow.
It's loose this season.
What's in that water?
Justin's turned season 3. Whoa.
Okay, well, let's see if your answers have changed since I last asked you them. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So, what's been your favourite production you've seen recently?
I don't know what you're gonna say.
You have to go first.
Well, oh my god. Well, mine's actually gonna be different to yours. I really enjoyed the Spelling Bee musical we saw.
Putnam. Yeah, Putnam.
So good. I felt like it really like enhanced like archetypes as well, and it was just a lot of fun. And it's like it's so hard to just watch a show and just like not like just be what's the word, like hypnotized with just how fun and silly it is, and especially when they had the audience participation.
Oh, that was the best. Watching them come up, the audience come up, and just endure it, you know, as part of the show. Was the best. And then just even the stuff they made them, like, for instance, they called them up one by one, and they were like, "Oh, this is Bob Fisher. He recently had a dinner with Barnaby Joyce and loved it." And so you just see their faces go, "Oh my god!"
Like, how do I do this now?
But the funniest part, and I don't know if you remember, but the funniest one was they had the last one left because they tried to get them all out before the end of Act 1. The last one left had this ridiculous hard word, and he spelt it correctly.
No.
And so the guy who spelt it was just like, "That's actually correct, yes." And so they gave him like supercalifragilistic, like something ridiculous no one could spell. And he was like, shit. It was so funny.
So good. And each character was just so well established. It was just like beautiful, perfect acting. Like, so it really felt like you were in like America watching a Spelling Bee, and it was just taking it too seriously. It was so
they
fun.
take that shit so seriously.
Yeah, man.
Don't they? Crazy.
I thought that was a joke that like TV shows did for like funny exposition about something.
They're
really
big-time
serious about
businesses,
it.
you know?
Yeah. People make millions of dollars on Spelling Bees.
Yeah, just being a good speller.
Which is, that's a fun thing you did when you were in year 3 and then stopped after that. Do you know what I mean?
I did a spelling contest when I was in high school and I lost it. Right. And I ended up, doing English teaching, so say what you will.
Exactly. I have autocorrect.
Yeah.
So
it's like ChatGPT now, you know. What about you, Ryan?
Wicked.
Oh, yeah?
Because we finally saw it and it was just great.
Saw it twice.
It was so great. We saw it twice. But it was great.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was like, actually we found the ticket. We were doing some like cleaning some stuff up in our apartment. And we found my ticket from 2010 when I went and saw it.
Right.
And everything was mostly faded.
Yeah.
But you could see the date and you could see Wicked on it and stuff. And I was like,
oh, whoa, like it just tripped me out.
Yeah, one of those classics. You can't,
yeah.
and I feel like the dynamic between the two, it's Sheridan and Courtney.
Sheridan and Courtney,
yeah.
Sheridan and Courtney.
Their chemistry is beautiful, and they found a really good way to make it fresh for a musical that's so overdone, and it was just beautiful. And
well, we had them in not long ago for a chat. It was so lovely. God, they were lovely.
They seem like such genuine, cool people.
Yeah, Sheridan, you could just tell, was so excited and grateful for the role that she had. And Courtney's obviously got like a wealth of experience behind her already. Just seemed like such a genuine person.
Yeah.
You know, really kind soul. It was lovely having them in. This episode was produced by Echidna Audio. Follow them on Instagram at Echidna Audio for all their audio services. Once again, if you enjoyed our podcast, leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts and head to the link in this episode's description for our Instagram account, TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon. My name's Justin Clarke, and I'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts Podcast.
Grammy Award winner Leslie Odom Jr. is back on Broadway in Pearly Victorious, a non-Confederate romp through the cotton patch. This New York Times critic's pick is blazing and hilarious. Leslie is magnificent, raves Deadline. The funniest show on Broadway, declares The Wrap. Don't miss Leslie Odom Jr. in the knockout, laughter-filled Pearly Victorious. Now extended through February 4th. Get your tickets today.
Love classic literature but hate to read? A Bridge Too Far, the new comedy podcast series, has you covered. All the books that you had to plow through in high school, brought to you in just 1,337 seconds. The Great Gatsby, Lady Chatterley's Adaptations, and many more. So if you want to look smart in front of your friends and family but don't have the hours it takes to read a classic novel, this is the podcast for you. Abridged Too Far, available on the Broadway Podcast Network or wherever you listen to your podcasts.